to the cloud and say, all right, here. Actually, I could probably do this on Facebook, live on Facebook. You want to do that? Hi, everyone. So this is our first
Hi.
time we're having this meeting, and I suppose we could put it in a group. Like, try it. Ukulele Instructors International. So when I saw Alan in the Ukulele Club Leaders put a calling to see if people wanted to meet, there's so much enthusiasm. And after chairing both the panel of club leaders and also this educators panel at the virtual ukulele festival back in mid-July, I just figured it would be nice to have a dialogue. Yeah. So, okay. So just welcome everyone, Lele instructors. So I'm just going to say go live so people can join us if they want to. So hi, Susan. So maybe, yeah, so I guess you can't see in chat, but I noticed with chat that if you just arrive, you won't see what was there before. You could only see what's in chat after you have come into Zoom. So, all right. So maybe we could just give a very short introduction why we're here and what we want to accomplish. And we're now live on Facebook. So maybe I'll just start with me. Yeah, so my name is Ann Koo. Normally I'm based in Boston, Massachusetts. Normally I teach there. And when the pandemic happened, I was in Spain, actually, the lockdown. So I managed to retreat to England, to London, England, and then go to rural Kent. And then luckily, found out about Zoom. There were some meetings. So I just started teaching online nonstop. So it's been this is like the 20th week, every week teaching. And it's just, I found that even though it's great to see students, and see people in my jam sessions, what I really, really miss is, collegial camaraderie, somebody else that's teaching. So when there was an opportunity to do a round table, this is how I met Tina and Dan, and we did a 90-minute round table where we each demoed 10 minutes of our teaching and shared. But it was just like, I feel like it was just the beginning of something we should continue, So that's why I called for this, to see maybe we could find some interest, and if there's separate interests, and then we could rotate on moderating and record and see any best practice we can learn. Because one of the things I learned is that people who have been teaching online, they've got 10 years of experience. They're used to this. Yeah. But I still think we need to get used to it. So that's me. And we have that Google Doc where we could type in some notes and everything. So why don't we go around the globe? So who's going west, going across the Atlantic? Is Tina next? I mean, I don't know. Susan, where are you from? Oh, excuse me.
I'm from Connecticut.
Oh, you're next. Okay.
Okay. All
Go
right.
to you. All right. This
Holding the
gives
space
time
bar.
for our Australia and Southeast Asia counterparts to wake up.
Well, I'm actually a fiddle player. I started playing the fiddle at age 50. But then I played guitar when I was a kid, so I started playing the ukulele maybe about 8 years ago, just strumming, really as a guitar, more or less. And then 2.5, almost 3 years ago, I decided, well, I'm going to teach a class at the senior center. And so it's really snowballed from that. I have well over 150 students in about 8 different senior centers. And of course, when March came, my classes were cut short and went to Zoom. And no way did I have anywhere near the amount of people in the Zoom classes that I would have live. But we're struggling. We're struggling. So we had 2 classes so far, and I have a 10-week class that I know of, one anyway, confirmed that of course I get paid, starting for 10 weeks in September, third week of September. So it's been great. I consider all the students like my friends. We all get to know each other, and it's been harder with Zoom. But the nice thing that I found is I'm getting people to actually sing by themselves in Zoom, where never would they have done that in the classroom setting. So I'm grateful for that. So I don't know how long I can talk forever. So you might want to move on to somebody else. Oh, you're muted, Ann.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I always do that, yeah. So I just wanted to go around and introduce ourselves briefly, especially what's happening with the pandemic, the before and after, briefly about what we teach and why we're here mainly. So why are we interested in doing this? So going to Tina next.
Hi, I'm based out of Kamloops, BC, Canada. So this is a beautiful time of day for me to be talking. It's 1 o'clock. I've had my coffee. My daughter made me lunch. It's all good. So my background is in guitar. I started studying guitar when I was 13. About 6 months into that, I started playing classical guitar, and I loved it. I played so much and so hard, I actually wore out my left hand, my fretting hand. I wound up with musician's vocal dystonia, which was rough. But at the same time, what had happened was I had discovered Jake Shimabukuro on YouTube, and I saw him playing While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and I lost my mind. I didn't know that the ukulele could sound like that. So then I started collecting those. And anyway, what happened was I connected with some people here in town that wanted to learn how to play ukulele. And then it just grew from there. They asked me to provide classes for them in ukulele, doing my, using my classical guitar background. So I did, and I've loved it. Lockdown was interesting for me. My background is, thanks to my husband, I've got, a pretty teched out house here. So I was used to doing a lot of things online. I got sick, so I had to wait until I recovered. And then I got going on Zoom and Skype, teaching private and group lessons on that. It's been neat, I try to make my own music space look like a virtual background, so I have different things to talk about with people when they come online. Over here is some of my grandmother's, just some of her memorabilia. So I'll bring it out and talk about songs and how they connect with me, just based on the history of my grandparents' music. A positive that I've heard about from me in terms of doing my group lessons is that because everyone's sitting in front of a screen by themselves, everyone gets what feels like a private lesson in their group fingerstyle lessons, right? So no one has to wait for me to come around and show them something. Everybody gets my hand in front of their screen right away. So it's been a challenge, but it's been really rewarding at the same time. And it's nice to be able to talk with other people about their practices, teaching online as well as offline. So thank you, Anne, for facilitating this.
You're welcome, Tina. So we had a lot of fun.
Anne, you're muted.
I keep doing that. I keep clicking on it. Okay, thanks, Tina. So we had a lot of fun meeting each other and sharing our teaching at the Virtual Ukulele Festival. So I just put for Nanny in the chat the Google Doc that we're going to be using so we could type our stuff and do things. What I like to really do is kind of stratify, because I'm looking for someone else who's also teaching groups, teaching adults, different issues of, how do you get more people, what Susan was saying, getting more people to come into Zoom. Because I have a feeling that some people still think we're going to go back to normal, so why bother with Zoom? Why bother with online lessons? So Dan, would you say something?
So I'm in Melbourne in Australia. So that's the bit that's still in lockdown. Although we're flattening the curve and all the jargon. It's going hopefully positive. So I'm a primary school teacher who uses music teacher who uses the ukulele in the classroom as a music teaching theory tool. And then in your classroom you'll have kids who are not interested doing it because they have to, and really interested. And the kids that are really interested wanted more lessons, so I started lessons with them, and they of course got to the point where they needed to perform. So we had to form a band, and then we had to go to festivals to perform. And their parents came along and said, gee, these kids are having a great time. So they wanted to learn the ukulele. So then I had adult students coming along, and it just steamrolled and steamrolled and steamrolled. I'm finding, excuse me, the interesting thing with Zoom meetings as lessons rather than obviously it was in the classroom setting before. I agree with Tina. It's a lot more. You can get a lot more technical quickly. It is almost a private lesson for everyone there. Everyone can see it going on, and I'm finding I'm really pushing my kids to learn technical skills and pushing them a lot harder than I was in the real setting. With my adults as well, I'm pushing along my the group. My oldest playing group. We actually had got to the point where we were just meeting on Friday and we're a band and we're just trying out new stuff and having a great time. It was more of a social thing more than anything else. They're actually dropping off because this is not a social setting. If you're comparing this to being in the same room together, not so much. But all the adults that I'm teaching, we're working on the promise of, well, when the world comes back, you're going to be in the band as well. So those numbers are actually growing, and they're really pushing themselves with technical skill building and working on our playlist, for example, things like that. And we're still having a great time because there is this focus of moving forwards. Whereas, as I said, the social players we're not getting that forward momentum, and so that I find that as the most interesting thing. I'm moving away from the social aspect of it and just pushing really hard with technical skill building, and it's a completely different group of people that I'm attracting to do when I'm doing that. So and that's me. So I'm still teaching kids up to, I've got some 8-year-olds, I think are my youngest, and I've got people in their 60s. So that's pretty broad range. That's me.
Wow, that's great. Well, I'm hoping Glenn Comida is able to get away from his professional development meeting and join us. Thank you, Dan. Okay, I'm just, if you feel like typing into the Google Doc any points that we mentioned that would be good for discussion and maybe branch out some other, feel free to type in there. Okay, I'm going to ask Kelly. Kelly, you woke up early for this. If you unmute, yourself. Yeah. There you go.
Hello, good morning from Malaysia. I don't know your side is a night but Malaysia here right now is Wednesday morning, August 12th. All right, my name is Kelly. I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm actually a piano teacher, turned into a ukulele teacher. I just share my passion with ukulele. But my forte actually is a music garden teacher. I'm the early childhood music educator. So my youngest student is actually 6 months old. So I teach in the music studio for the toddler, baby. I'm up to 9 years old for this program. I started to teach ukulele 7 years ago. I fell in love with ukulele when I first know about the ukulele in Australia, Perth. I attended a music conference at Perth, and then I discovered ukulele. Actually, it's a Hawaii instrument. Then later I traced back. Actually, it's a Portugal instrument. So that time I remember I was just actually graduated from a university in diploma in music, majoring in classical piano. But I do not know that it's called ukulele. That's where I discovered ukulele 7 years ago. Well, okay, I have a very long story about my. What happened is during lockdown in March, I lost my job. I lost my income since March until now because I teach ukulele in the primary school. So when the school totally locked down, Malaysia very strict. The moment we discover COVID-19, our government strictly locked down completely during March 18. We started March 18. So all the primary schools stopped all the activities. As a co-curriculum teacher, we will get paid only when you teach. So when school locked down, so we don't teach, we don't get our pay. Fortunately, I'm still teaching a few kids online for the Music Garden program. So I teach keyboard, I teach piano. This is how I still can have a little bit of income. Right now, Malaysia is practicing, we call it RMCO, Recovery Movement Control Order. So now I go back to music school to teach, but the primary school, I teach from the primary, I teach a group class. I also teach in many centers like YMCA, you know, I teach in the old folks home, I teach special needs children, because ukulele for me is a passion more than a profession. So I just take in any center or any children who want to pick up. So my student from 4 years old up to 80 years old. That's my story. Thank you for listening.
Thank
Over to
you,
you,
Kelly.
Anne.
So yeah, so I'm also a pianist, and yeah, so and I think our lockdown here in the UK was the vernal equinox, right around 20th, 21st of March. Yeah, so it's the entire country. Yeah,
Is
UK.
England locked down, still locked down now?
No, we've opened up, but but there's some places like Preston, up north, it's like a re-lockdown, kind of similar to in Victoria where Dan is at. So far, the southeast, southwest, so far we're okay. Yeah, so this is good. Thank you very much. So let's see, we've got Nanny and Denise who just joined us. So yeah, Nanny, you were interested in this topic definitely, but I recruited you to the ukulele club, ukulele club leaders instead at the virtual ukulele festival in July, and you caused a sensation with your hula dancing.
That was
So
fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having this, and I think well, okay. Let me give you a little bit of background on why I'm here, and born and raised in Hawaii, but live in Maryland, so I'm on the East Coast of the United States. So it is 4:20 here in the afternoon, and I so I had been teaching ukulele. That's my primary instrument. Been teaching ukulele at a local music store, a mom and pop store, right? And then we had the lockdown, and so the in-person lessons stopped. I don't have a large amount of students because my daytime I'm in the school system. Okay, so of course we went virtual there. So eventually, all my ukulele students stopped. Uh, it was hard for them to adjust to doing it virtually. It had nothing to do with me per se. So, and of course, here I'm trying to adjust to virtual, right? How to use Zoom, primarily use Zoom. I love it, but how to navigate, get it, and make it work for the student, for them. So I think on both ends, it was just quite an adjustment. So the other thing that I do is lead a couple of jams, a weekly one at the store, that the music store. So we did go virtual for a while, and then I started summer school, uh, and we only meet once a week. But I stopped that for the summer because I got exhausted, honestly, to be a host on Zoom and navigating, you know, the mute, unmute, who's leading, because I I like to give everybody else the opportunity to lead their song, which is great. So we have enough seasoned, comfortable, confident people to lead a song. But even that, even though I'm not leading all the songs, it was still exhausting being a host. Okay. Uh, so I'm giving it a break this summer. I'm not sure what we're going to do in the fall. We're obviously not going to go back into in person anytime soon. So I need to rethink how am I going to make this so that I'm not exhausted. Because in the fall, the school's going to be on Zoom, virtual. So, go from Zoom to Zoom, that might be a bit much for me. Uh, so it's just wrapping my mind around um, being a host, I guess, right? Oh, I can attend any Zoom like this and not worry about being a host. I love it. I've been joining different jams and not too many, but enough to keep happy, if you will. Um, so that's going on. The other thing, uh, my husband and I hosted our very first Gaithersburg Ukulele Festival last March. It was successful. We had almost 300 people attend, great instructors. Well, we were supposed to have the next one this past March. Of course, that didn't happen. And but we were like, okay, how do we keep our folks happy, engaged? We're like, okay, we don't have any ukulele festivals. We don't have any gigs. What are we going to do? So to help them out, and my husband really is the producer of all the shows that we've done. We've done a virtual showcase, performance showcase, and jam, so they can jam. We share the screen, play along, whether we do it ourselves or the artists. But they showcase themselves. Ask for e-tip, demo, any products they have, and so forth. And we've met a whole lot of people from all over the world. My husband just went kind of gangbusters thanks to social media, Facebook, friend of a friend, an ukulele player, and from all over the world, from Europe, Brazil, you name it, we had them. And we were just very grateful for the opportunity that brought. Now we're going to do it again this fall, and not only showcasing them but letting them do workshops also. So that's been fun. But yeah, all those things take a lot of work, as you know, as instructors of your instrument. So but for me personally, as a teacher, as a ukulele instructor, I still don't know what I'm going to do in the fall as a ukulele teacher. So that's why I'm here to just get ideas and how to even get the students to want to do it virtually, because they I think everybody was like, okay, wait, I think we're going to go back in the fall, but now that's not going to happen. So are they still going to want to wait, or how can I get them to, yes, please do it virtually? You know, I pr- probably need to step up my game a bit, maybe. I don't know. Uh, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. So yeah, that's partly why I'm here, and just to share that, it's not all roses, if you will, right? Um, and not feeling that I'm isolated in this situation. That, oh, I don't have any students. They're not wanting to do this. So, but I met a lot of people because of this, the virtual, worldwide. Um, so I'm grateful for that opportunity, but certainly missed the live in person.
Thanks, Nanny. Yeah, so I put down on our shared Google document, one of the challenges which Susan mentioned was, how do you get everybody to get into Zoom? If you're used to teaching a lot of people and then suddenly half or more than half of them just suddenly disappear. They're not in Zoom any, they just don't come into the virtual space. So I think that's one of the challenges. So we're still introducing ourselves, basically where we are at and why we're at this meeting. Something about your background. So I see a few more people joined us. I'm going to pass this over to Denise. If you just tell us where you are, and I think perhaps the instrument that you started with, your background, that might help a little bit, and a little bit about your teaching practice.
Hi, I am in Durango, Colorado. It's absolutely beautiful here right now. And my first teaching instrument, well, my first instrument period was a flute, to a bassoon, to the piano, to the organ, to, let's see, to the guitar, and then the ukulele, which didn't arrive in my world until I was 50, and I'm a lot older than that right now. So I've been playing a lot. It actually started on a whim. I've always been in marketing and sales, and I do arts consulting. So uh, we moved to Durango, and I was a self-employed magazine publisher, totally stressed out. Dropped off my magazines at a music store and bought a ukulele in the process and came home, and that was my therapy. So I just started learning the ukulele and playing, and all my friends and people I'd been in business with, they're like, oh, you have to teach me. And Durango's small, but we are a big tourist area. We have a lot of international travels most of the time, and literally hundreds of thousands of people come through Durango throughout the year because of the historical things. We're not too far from Mesa Verde National Park and a lot of things like that. And I'm going to shut my door real quick here because they're cleaning out outside my office. Don't go anywhere. I'm here.
It's good to see all these ukuleles in the background. I just have my
I
two
know.
travel ukuleles.
Well, this is my studio. So long story short, I traveled to a couple of ukulele festivals. I went to the Port Townsend Ukulele Festival. I went to Reno to their ukulele festival, and I met a lot of artists. And I also was very intimidated by the large size and so many people, and there's so much information for me. And I really wanted to, I thought, wow, I'm just going to come back to Durango and start a little festival here that because we're a tourist town, people and a lot of retirees. It's a very much a family oriented location as well. So I felt like there was a really good opportunity to create something here. So I started the Rocky Mountain Uke Festival, and let's see if I can get you in on it. See the sign up there? See the sign? That's on my website. And so I started that, and then I just started teaching, and I lead a lot of jams. And I've had all the great presenters here over the last 6 years. Of course, we canceled this year. Um, but so I started, I actually rented this studio here on March 1st. Great timing, right? Like, but I have students. I have a lot of senior students, and I have some, younger students now, especially with the quarantines. I'm getting a lot of people wanting to fulfill the arts um, concept with their child. So, they're making them or offering them music lessons. So I get a lot of a mixture. I think my specialty, though, is probably working with seniors. And I'm going to start a roving piano teaching class for adult students that always wanted to play piano but just never had the opportunity to learn. I think I can come up with a really good concept to not make it so intimidating. So I'm just really interested in getting to know you guys, having some connections in the teaching world. One thing, I'll just share one thing we did. So I do I did, for a while, I did an every Monday night jam online. And the first few times, I mean, I had 25, 30 people from all over the world. I don't know how they heard about me or it or this, but they were hungry. You know, we are ukulele players, so we're hungry to play. And so we did that all online with Zoom. And then one of my classes, I noticed the ladies were not comfortable with Zoom, so I ended up going out to they all live in a community, a retirement community. But then I thought, wow, what if we do the ukulele jam from the studio and my husband plays bass? So we sit inside the studio, and outside I've got a hallway. And so I invited 5 of our regular players to come in and sit outside, socially distanced, and we record the Zoom online jam with them out there playing with me as well, so that whenever you're an attendee, you don't feel like you're just playing a duet with Denise, you know. So, and that seemed to be really nice, and it worked out well. And I'm kind of thinking about how to do that with students. I started another class as a combo, Zoom and in person. I had 2 people in my small studio and 3 people online, and they all, you know, the people online could hear the students in the back, so they felt like they weren't just playing with the teacher, and they weren't struggling alone, you know, with things they want to learn. So I found that really working well, as far as the way I don't really use, I just kind of use my own teaching format, which is very relaxed. I do have a big social aspect of it. I really love people, and so I just want to spread the joy of ukulele, and I love it. My favorite thing is whenever someone who comes to me and says, "Oh my God, I always wanted to play an instrument. I just never could do it," and then they sit down, and within 4 minutes they are playing some song, and their eyeballs are this big, and their arthritic fingers are actually moving, and I just find the joy in that as well. And then the little students just, you know, I don't know. I just really enjoy what I'm doing. So I love to meet other people who do things, and I'm all about. I would love to find out some information on how to do a reward program for some of my younger students to encourage them to practice. I think they're getting really burned out on all the Zoom and all the, you know, online classes and school and everything, and I'm trying to figure out ways to uh, encourage them and motivate them to want to practice. And, you know, students, and I have a feeling that I could probably find a way to use that with the older crowd as well, because they all like games and competitions and stuff. So if anybody has any feedback on, you know, what they use to like reward their, you know, some kind of a badge program or stars or anything, doesn't have to be really extravagant, just something that motivates them to do the, you know, to practice and keep them encouraged. I would love that information. So it's nice to meet you all. I hope we can connect some way. I'm on Facebook. I think I'm on your Facebook page. I literally just popped up the Facebook, and there you were, and I was like, click. So I didn't plan on saying hi. Anyway, hi. I'm done.
So Denise, I just put that in under, I just realized in the Google Doc, I put, why are you here at this meeting? And then the next question, this is on the second page, I put challenges and what you're looking for solutions. So it could be the same thing. The reason I'm here at this meeting is to connect with others, my peers, because I'm really missing that. You know, I don't know about you, but it's always been kind of lonely, you know. The 2 groups I've been in is very active on Facebook, all these discussions, Ukulele Club Leaders and Ukulele Instructors International. And it's always served me really well, you know, dialogue, discussion. But now that I'm online anyway, you know, suddenly it's not enough. It's not enough to see the text. I really want to interact with others. And that's why I'm here. And I'm also curious about, you know, your challenges. I'm so glad I talked to Nani in July, because this Zoom burnout fatigue, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Not just us, my students are telling me, you know, they get so many emails, they're in Zoom all day. They don't want to be in another Zoom session. It better be efficient and all that. So now I'm going to pass to Hawaii. I see Tiki Dave. Thank you for coming. Maybe just say a little bit about yourself and why you're here and where you are and all that.
Aloha, and thanks for having me. I just saw this meeting pop up, so I'm glad to be here. Aloha, everybody. My name is Dave. You can disregard the Tiki Dave. That's just for showbiz. But my name's David. I'm originally from outside of Boston. I now make my home in Hilo, Hawaii. I'm here. My wife is a local girl from Kaneohe originally on Oahu. And there you go, Nani. She's a local girl no ka'oi. And do you want a little bit of background, Anne? Is that first and then?
So what we've shared, because this is being recorded, is just, you know, I think many of us are multi-instrumentalists and,
Sure.
you know,
Sure.
we teach, we all,
Okay.
yeah, lead jams and stuff, or some of us have done festivals, but maybe something about you, what are you doing?
Okay. Originally, I come to this from a violin and guitar background, and that's primarily what, if it's got strings, I can play it, steel guitar, mandolin, what have you. I was sort of, I don't want to say forced into ukulele, but my wife and I primarily work on the cruise ships, and of course, they're not sailing right now. So we founded the Hawaiian Enrichment Program for Princess, and among other things, the people who do that, we teach ukulele. So I played a little bit beforehand. It's primarily steel guitar and guitar, but I was, for lack of a better term, I was forced to teach ukulele, and I had never taught a thing in my life, you know, before. We've been doing that now 13 years. So when I started, I had no curriculum. I had no idea what I was doing. And I was just fumbling around trying to find things that work. And it eventually worked. So we're blessed to have done that for a long time. And I have groups of, on the ship, I usually get about maybe 9,500 students each cruise. They come, the company provides ukulele, and you can have people who are experienced players, people who are ranked beginners. So that's a challenge in itself, is try to make the classes interesting enough for the people who were involved, or who already play, and simple enough for the beginners. So I spell it out for them at the beginning. I say, my promise to you is if you can count to the number 4, I can teach you to play ukulele in 45 minutes, because everything I do is based on numbers, you know, fingers, strings, frets, and so forth. You know, it's a challenge also to put it together, because we have a big show at the end of the cruise along with the hula dancers and such. So that's gone along quite nicely. But when the pandemic struck and we were out of work and waiting to get back on, which who knows when that will be, I started receiving a lot of communication from my past students. We have a very large following on Facebook saying, hey, can you do lessons online? And I never even thought to do it. And I don't do Zoom, and that's one of the reasons that I'm here, is I want to hear how people are approaching it. Primarily, I do my play-alongs on Facebook Live. I know, Anne, you've been to a couple, you've seen a couple, and I like it, but I find some challenges in that there's no immediate feedback. You know, it's almost like a performance, if you will, and you have to artificially encourage people as you're doing it. You know, there is no feedback on it. And you can't see how they're doing. You can't see, you know, if you want to change the technique, if you want to see what they're doing correctly or incorrectly, which is very important when you're teaching, particularly beginners, to get them out of bad habits early. I have no immediate feedback. So the more I think about it, the longer that we're here, I want to try to transition into not just doing the play-alongs like that, but having group lessons, one-on-one lessons on Zoom, so that I can have a little bit more personal touch with the students. And I'm still trying to find my way around Zoom and see what other people are doing. And I attend a lot of jams and a lot of instructional things just to see how people are doing things. And, you know, like I think we all do, is, you know, we see something that we like, okay, I'm going to try that here, over there. I saw what that person did. I'm going to take that. And then you ball it all together and you have your own style. So that's kind of what I'm interested in doing, because we're here for the foreseeable future. And I would like it to be a more beneficial experience for the students and for me, and to see how we can develop, or how I can develop, you know, as a better teacher using the technology that we have.
So thank you, Dave. It's hard for me to call you
You
Dave.
you can call me that. It's fine. It's fine. At this point, my mother calls me Tiki Dave, so it's okay.
Okay. Well, I noticed that number 1 is sound, how we come across. I just switched off original sound. Do I sound different?
No,
Is it
still
better
sound
to
good.
switch back on original? I'm not playing anything. So, Tiki, Dave, you've got a really good sound.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
as instructors, we all need to sound really good. But
Hmm.
one of the points you touched upon is how to get feedback. That relates directly also to my other question I haven't brought up is how to engage in Zoom. I'm just wondering whether there's an optimal size to number of students on Zoom because, you know, I know Kelly, you teach one-on-one in Zoom, and some of you also do one-on-one. For me, I find it better to have a group of people, you know, because even if it's on Zoom, I get a buzz from a group of people. So shall we start with that? Just, you know, type in. So raise your hand and then you speak. Maybe we could mute ourselves so we can hear better. Yeah, so Dan, you speak and let's mute ourselves. Okay, put this on.
I find that five or six windows is the maximum that I would be comfortable teaching at any one time. I have some couples or brothers and sisters who perform, so there might be two people in a window, but 6 windows is about it. After that, they start getting smaller and smaller, and I'm trying to show this is where you put your fingers, and they're going, I can't see what's going on. So that's the largest group that I like to play in a lesson, in a strum along or a workshop sort of thing. I've been in online ukulele festivals taking a workshop where there's literally 100 people watching me. I don't know who they are. I don't see them. I see maybe the first 20 on the first page, and I'm too busy to scroll across to look at other windows of the Zoom participants. So it's two very different styles. But for teaching, for myself, yeah, 6 window rule is basically my rule, simply because it has the community feel, but also I can see everyone and they can see me, and there is that automatic, or not automatic, instant response. I can see they're looking stressed. I can see they're looking confused. I can say, hey, let's talk about what's going on in your head, and let's see if we can figure out what's going on. That would be my addition to the conversation there.
That's interesting, Dan. You said there's a maximum, and I think that's partly also what contributes to this Zoom burnout, isn't it? Because you as a teacher, you're seeing if everybody's engaged, right? A huge difference from when you're just performing and everybody's watching you. It doesn't matter if you do lecture style. But anybody want to add to that, Tina? Okay.
So when I got set up to do Zoom, I was using a small monitor. I was just using whatever I had. We went out and got me a big one, right? Like the biggest that I could get that was reasonable, you know. That's helped immensely. So I'm comfortable having probably a good 15 windows at a time. I've done more. That becomes a little bit overwhelming. But in order for me to cope with that, a couple of things that I do to keep connected with the students is, let's say we're doing theory. I do Tuesdays with Tina, which I just talk about different aspects of theory. Did you get it? Give me a thumbs up or nod your head. I don't ask people to click on the keyboard, an actual thumb up or an actual nod, so that they kind of feel like they're connected in the classroom. That helps me a lot. My finger picking classes that I do on Wednesdays, I ask people, put the camera on your hands. I don't want to see your face, just let me see your hands right now. Or whichever, fretting hand or picking hand. Let me just watch and make sure that I can see what everyone's doing. And with that big screen, asking them to zero in on their hands saves my bacon, you know, and I hope that it keeps them connected. I think Dave's got something there.
Oh,
Thanks.
I just wanted to chime in for Tina. Absolutely. Even though I don't do Zoom, the feedback, and like you're saying, ask a question, because what I do is in mine, I keep the comments open and I have a way to monitor them, and I ask people, you know, how's it going? Anybody have a question? Let me know. Absolutely. Right on. Right on. Is, you know, to answer any questions that come in, even if it interrupts the flow, if you will, of the jam, I'll take the time to answer the question. So for sure, good point. Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you make use of chat or have somebody monitor the chat? Because, you know, when you're teaching, it's hard to, I don't know, do you have the gallery view then you can see everybody, or do you show the shared screen view and all you see is a little bit of yourself in the shared screen? So how are you able to see if people are getting it or not? And if people type in chat, that distracts me because then I have to stop, see, oh, what did they write? It's very interruptive. Are there strategies to, make it smoother?
Yes, 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 there is. Can you hear me, Anne?
Uh, who is, see, this is exactly, oh, Nanny. All right, go ahead.
So, when okay, let's say you're in a shared screen situation as the teacher, right? You're the host. In Zoom, you're called the host if you're controlling it. You can, of course, designate a co-host, which I would encourage, especially to help control the chat so that it's caught, right? And like, same like Facebook, uh, the Facebook Live. Yeah, if you have somebody, or if you have somebody looking at a second device, right? That's like, oh, they see the chat. It's like, oh, yeah, and then they help you because let's say you're not right there next to your phone or whatever, your iPad to look at the chat. You might be too far away from your device. But having that second person be a co-host for you definitely helps. The other, so and then also let's say you're in a shared screen aspect. I don't know if Zoom has improved this part where you can kind of make the shared screen smaller because, or for the, and then but again, you can have actually, if you have a co-host to do this, that co-host can make the shared screen smaller and they can see all the 15 people that are in the room. And then, if there's a need to have somebody be muted or they could check the chat or just because I, two, two things. I work for the school system, so I'm doing virtual. So I have to do that as a co-teacher. Okay, I have to mute the student or check to see what's going on or choose a student to answer a question that's been posed. So, because the teacher is too busy sharing the screen and they can't see the students, okay? So, yeah, there's a lot of team effort to doing this. Another thing I want to bring up, if you don't mind, so this is, I would call this a mini, what you call that? Anyway, this is a shared document camera. Okay, so this part is the camera. And
Oh,
what I
yeah.
love about this is you can make it to, and it's kind of inexpensive to buy. And the school system is actually using this, and this one is IPEVO. Yeah, it's their model of this. Um, and what's nice about this, as a ukulele teacher or even a piano teacher, and you teachers who teach piano already probably do this, have multiple cameras where you choose this camera and it points to the instrument. So
Oh,
you're not up on your main screen and doing this, right? You're not adjusting. You can let the second camera, do that. So so that's a nice thing to do. Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant.
Is that,
I don't know if that's my phone. Let me go
oh,
check.
it's your phone. Okay. Yeah. How many of you just, I mean, I find when I normally teach, I stand up, I have a class and I just stand the whole time. But with the Zoom, I'm forced to sit down, so I could be close to and operate the computer. And if I stand, nobody could see my head, my face. So what do you do? Does anybody have any thoughts about that? The whole physical logistics of teaching has changed being on Zoom. Tina? Yeah.
Okay, so what I tend to do, first off, I just acknowledge. You're not going to see my face, but you don't need to because I'm just doing what I need to do to show you guys. And sometimes just addressing that, right? Like rather than, it's awkward, right? It really is awkward. I stay right up at the screen. I'm used to being in my students' faces, so, and I usually do walk around like you, right? Walk in a circle and get right up in front of everyone. So I just crack a joke about it. And other than that, I mean, the only other thing I can do is stand back to teach, which I'd like to do, but then people can't see my hand. So my husband had talked about something similar to what Nanny was talking about, but he'd suggested doing it so that um, you have yourself as a host on one screen, and then you can sign in as a separate person on your cell phone and have that set up on a secondary screen. And I haven't done anything with that yet because I forgot about it and just until right now. But that could be an option.
All right, Denise.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I just started using my iPad, Tina, like, I sign in as a second person and I use it and I share it and I can use the whiteboard component, which is really handy. I started taking Spanish lessons and my Spanish teacher was writing all these words and I said, "Oh my gosh, I need one of those." And but it's really nice, but you have to get the Apple Pencil or a pencil to write on your iPad, and you have to have the right kind of iPad because not all iPads are compatible to that. Then I also noticed they have the whiteboard here within Zoom, but you have to type. Nanny, is that right? Is there any other option?
Yeah, I don't like the Zoom whiteboard, but the camera, the document camera I was telling you about, that has a nice whiteboard
Oh, nice.
feature. Yeah, and you just need to download the app, and you can use it both on the Chromebook, which our school system uses Chromebook, but you can, yeah, just like what Dan has right there. And
Oh,
then,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
okay.
it's really nice. And especially if you have to do on the fly kind of stuff, with your student if they're not getting it or whatever. But yeah,
Annie,
like
can
I
you
said, it's
type into the Google Doc that
yeah, yeah,
device? What's it
Yeah,
called?
that'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah. It's
I'm
really
calling it
easy.
Nanny's item.
Yeah, and then the other thing with your iPad, okay, if you are using an iPad, if you have not discovered Notability, get that app for your iPad. Notability, and um, that gives you a lot of options. Yeah, exactly. That's the exact camera that Dan has. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So Dan, maybe you could tell us, what is that V4K
Ultra high
ultra high
definition.
definition? Sorry, what does that do?
So, and again, yes, I picked this up. This is the music from my school. All the classrooms in my school have one of these. Um, it's basically the next generation of the overhead projector, really, from back in the day. Rather than have and I'll just swap cameras again. So, just with your video uh, control where you go to choose the virtual background or whatever on your Zoom meeting, you can actually change cameras. So rather than having to log in as another person, there is a 1 second lag also. But other than that, it's a pretty quick change from one to the other. There we go. And so you can set it up. It's on a large tripod or large sort of form there with a nice heavy base, and you could have a book on the table, and basically you're projecting the book up onto the TV for all your students. That was the theory behind giving everyone one of these at school. But I agree with Nanny. It's been interesting rather than standing up and holding a ukulele at the one camera. You can just simply click to the other camera, and here's the other movement going on. It makes you look much more professional.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and you notice, he all he did was switch cameras. He's still staying in the same place. So it's just that it makes it more adaptable for you as a teacher. Yeah. So
Yeah. All right, Tiki, Dave.
if you or TD, either one. That's fine. If I could ask Dan and Nani, when you're using that, do you need to use an external switcher, or I mean, you're in Zoom, and how do you switch between the two? Because when I do my streaming, I'm on OBS for doing live stream,
Well,
and I'd like to know if in Zoom, do you use it in Zoom? So how do you switch between the two? Because it's a
yeah,
great piece of
okay.
kit. Very
I'll tell
nice.
you. So, well, you're using what camera you're choosing.
Sure.
So, yeah, so you switch from your main camera, right?
Okay. So it gives you, when you set it up with that, it recognizes that you're
So
using
you
two
can,
devices.
yeah, you go into the video setting. Yep,
Oh,
and
there you go. I see it.
yeah, so
Yep, he's
that's how
putting
you
them up.
switch cameras.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Fantastic.
it's really a nice feature. Yeah, yeah,
So in other words, under the, oh, I see.
yeah.
Like, so for instance, on like right here, I'm using my iPhone externally, but I have a choice, for instance, to use my FaceTime HD. So I would switch between the two. I would have them. There you go. Okay. Thank you.
You know, the other thing I like, what Tina mentioned, the multiple monitors. You know, that takes getting used to because it's like, okay, wait, I mean, but you can take advantage of that in Zoom. You use it to work for you, where you're and like, of course, having the bigger monitor, you see more people at once. But you can also be having one monitor show one thing, and then you're seeing another thing. So you can see multiple things, or having you get multiple devices. Really, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
great idea. Great idea.
That's great. So, gosh, there's so many, those of us that don't work for schools, we don't get any equipment from these schools. So, I'm operating quite low tech. So, Susan, you wanted to say something about that? Yeah.
Yes, I don't know how that compares. It's probably not as good as an app called EpoCam. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. I have it right now on my iPhone, so I can easily, I'll show you, I can easily just switch to the EpoCam. Now you're seeing a, whoops, I guess it doesn't switch that easily. Huh.
What is that exactly? This Epoch, is it a web?
It's an app. It's an app on your phone, and I'm not sure why it's not switching right now because I've got it set up on a tripod. So anyway, that's what I've been using, and I don't know why right now it's
Is it
not.
on your iPhone or smartphone?
Yeah, yeah. It's an app right on my iPhone. Jeez. Well, I'll take that back. It's not working very good. It's here. I'm back to my FaceTime camera. Let me just try it one. But anyway, it's EPOCCAM. There it is. So it's from this side of me, and I find I put it close to my ukulele, and that works. But I guess it has a little glitch like it just did now. But so it's free. For a quick fix for somebody while they're waiting for a better camera, and the quality is really good because you're using the system of your iPhone. So you can set that up and just go right into the video setting and switch it back.
Oh, I'm curious, Tina, did you want to say something? Yeah.
That device you're using there, Susan, is that okay for Android or specific for?
I don't know. I would have to check.
What was the brand name of that one again?
It's EPO, EPOC CAM, CAM.
EPOC.
I can try to find a link for you too.
I'm just digging them up here. That's.
Yeah, let me go on my phone and find it.
So I'm curious, so we're well set up. Do you require your students to also set up well so they sound good? I mean, because we need to know, right? this whole thing about original sound and the lighting and everything, so you can see them. Nanny's nodding. That's a requirement to take your class, right?
Yes, it's highly recommended. Yeah, I mean, if they're going to get a bang for their buck, which is, if it's kids, their parents are paying for this, you want to make sure that they're set up, and they, and, again, like, and for you seasoned teachers that have done this, you kind of have maybe a free 15-minute pre-setup before you're even gonna, if they're a new student, make sure their sound and whatever device, whether they use their, uh, whatever device they're using. Some
Dan,
of them
you
are going to
wanted
be
to,
using Chromebook, laptop,
yeah.
iPad.
I find whenever I get a new
Sorry.
student, the first thing I do is email, well, if it's a child, the parent, or if it's an adult themselves. There's some very simple, easy YouTube clips of how to set up a Zoom meeting to get original sound. So I don't even need to spend the first 10 minutes of our first lesson saying, now push this, now there's a button there, which is just terrible for everyone involved. So just check out this 3-minute video clip. These are the buttons that you need to set. I'll see you in the meeting tomorrow at whatever the time is. So be prepared. iPads, there's less options available, and there are a number of students I have who use iPads, but there are still some settings that you can set because Zoom's realised the market is there. They have had some updates where they can actually change the settings on iPads now as well. But again, it's not as functional as a laptop or desktop computer. But the options are there, and you try and squeeze as much out of it as you possibly can.
So it's really our responsibility, isn't it, as instructors, to tell our new students what to expect, maybe like a write-up or something. I haven't really done that. I should, because some people are so frustrated. They have an iPhone, they have an iPad, they're trying to navigate between the two to take these Zoom classes. In the end, it's like they're so frustrated, they just decide Zoom doesn't work. So this is going back to Susan's initial question, is how do we get people to come into Zoom? How do we get them to come and take classes with us rather than lose them? I don't know if you agree, as instructors and leaders, we need to have this sheet of paper. We need to set out, this is what you need to do, or watch a video to have the optimal experience. Otherwise, you'll be very frustrated. So I would love to copy and paste what Dan has, so I don't have to write one from scratch. Anybody else has a list or anything? Yeah. So, okay. All right. So we've been speaking for about an hour. I don't know if we want to continue for another half hour. Did we cover everything? Should we flash out some talking points for next time? I'm thinking that this is our sort of first meeting in Zoom. It's recorded, it's on the Facebook page, and this might interest others. Yeah, because
I've just put into chat the YouTube link that I send to my students. There are YouTube videos that go on for 20 minutes. You don't. This guy is very precise. You just do this, and this. It's over in 3 minutes. Thanks very much for coming. He does. You're looking at him and you're thinking there's something weird about him. And then you realise, oh, he has a parrot sitting on his shoulder. That it took me 2 watches to go, why is his hair moving like that? But no, it's a parrot sitting on his shoulder. But other than that, it's a really nice, precise, informational video.
thank you for that.
Nothing wrong with a parrot on the shoulder, Tiki. I agree with you entirely, Dave. But when you're not expecting it, it is a surprise.
So how many, let me just see, several of you are festival organizers. Nanny, Dan, Denise, who else has organized? Kelly, who else has organized festivals? So, I mean, I'm so in awe of you because a festival just sounds like so much work. I know we've been talking about, you know, we should have a festival in Boston. Um, you know, that would be great. I'll get Dave to come back to Boston because we have so many members in the Ukulele Union of Boston, but to actually organize one, I mean, is there a shortcut? Do you recommend it? I mean, you recommend it, Dan? Yeah.
I recommend it if you don't feel like sleeping much or you're a bit of a stress addict. Definitely put it on the list. But definitely, it's not something you do by yourself. It's not I organised a festival. The Hills Ukulele Festival, the one that I do, is actually hosted by my school. So I have a huge support structure. Like yes, I'm the one picking the bands and things like that and organising the creative side, I suppose. But the people who organise the technical thing, I've got wonderful people who assist me with setting up stuff. We had 3 stages last year. We were going to have 4 this year. There's no way one person does that. So there is a whole staff of people working on that. I have parent groups helping, assisting with the sausage sizzle and all that sort of stuff, selling food at the festival. I just go, right, I have people who have volunteered, crazy, who, so well, I'll handle the food, I'll handle the tech side of things, and I can just focus on, right, who am I booking, the 30 odd community groups that want to come along, where will I fit them in the timetable? That's plenty for me to worry about. And everything else, I have reliable people who do that side of things. Don't do it by yourself. That would be step number 1, get a team.
Wow. So Kelly's question, how long have you been organizing this festival?
We had an online version of it this year, which almost had exactly the same amount of organisational difficulties. We had to well, I say we, but the people who were organising the technical side of things they spent a month trialing different software. They started with OBS and different streaming software to make it all work, which meant that on the day it all went incredibly smoothly. But the thing I say is I was the gorgeous swan sitting on top of the water hosting the event, and they were the furious legs paddling underneath, making it all go smoothly. And it really was like that. They were non-stop. It was it was a 4-hour event, and they didn't stop for the actual 4 hours of that. So yes, 5 years is the original question answer. I got there eventually. Sorry about that.
Kelly, did you want to say anything? Because you organize festivals too.
Actually, I have a lot to say about festival. Whenever mentioning the festival, I will have a lot to. I'm so enthusiastic about this thing, because to organize a festival is not it's a lot of stress, a lot of headaches. But the moment when the festival is over, I was laid down on the bed and said, yes, I will do it again and again. You see, I have 7 years ago, I found out an association to help me to do the festival. Like Dan said, you cannot do alone. You need a team to back you up, you see. So, of course, I'm the main producer, so to speak. I plan everything, the venue, everything, because being a leader, you have to look into every aspect, from the venue to the most important thing is the money, it's a financial side. So it's a lot of planning to do, but I think my forte is not so much on teaching ukulele, it's more on the organizing side. I can see myself. I don't call myself instructor. I'm so shy to actually to join your group. Ukulele instructor, I don't think I fit to be an instructor. I'm still in my basic 4 chords. I'm still very much intermediate.
I'm just
basic.
Kelly, you're saying organizing it. To me, the physical side is a lot, but surely virtual one is much easier. I mean, is now the opportune time to organize festivals, virtual festivals?
So this year actually is my 3rd festival. The first year was 2018. It's a wow, it's the first year, and the ukulele master from Taiwan said, "Oh, Kelly, you did so well. I give you 90 marks." Then he told me, "You have a very dangerous thing to do because I give you 90 marks. The second festival, I don't think you can get more than 90 marks." I was like, oh. So last year, 2019, I got so much pressure because I want to perform more than that, So I try to put in a lot of ideas inside, So that the same person told me, "Kelly, you did it. I will give you 92 marks, 2 extra marks." This year, I told myself the 3rd festival, I'm going to do it even much better. But you see, you can never keep up with the planning because suddenly, pom, the COVID-19 came.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Festival. So now I cancel the physical one. Now I'm going to have a virtual festival, which is going to happen in November. But the actual physical festival is actually August 31st, which is also our Malaysian National Day. So instead I call it Ukulele Festival, I say that celebrate ukulele for Merdeka, for our national Merdeka Day. We call it Merdeka means our national celebrations. So I must very quick to actually change the plan. And then because usually in Malaysia, I don't know in other parts of country, in Malaysia, our parents is still very much in the competitive mood. Every time we talk about festival, they want competitions, ukulele competition. So the previous 2 competition, we have a group competition, not solo. Because you see solo competition, I think 10 days, 10 nights also cannot finish. So I don't have solo competition. I only have group COVID-19. So I cancel all the group competition. I convert into a solo online competition, which happened to start, the registration is going to start, I started already last month, and then we are going to close on September, end of September. In fact, I welcome all your students to join our online competition. I'm charging the international student US 10 ringgit. So it's the first time.
Online competition. Yeah, give us the details. Online competition. I suppose that is a way to definitely motivate your students if there's a prize. So who was it that was asking about prizes, Denise? How do you do to motivate students? In my jam sessions, I offered a competition, and it was a contest, but only one person actually participated, so he won the prize, which was like a free drop-in to one of my workshops. But that's pretty lame. Last year, I did I think a donation of a new ukulele for costume for disco ukulele workshop in jam session. So, how do you motivate students? I mean, is it any different online in our virtual workshops than face-to-face?
I just want to, the only thing that I've noticed with both the younger students and my senior students is they love to perform. They love to show you what they know. So with the Zoom jams that we do, we have an open mic and people share their songs. I feel like it's a really safe place to do that. And I noticed that when I was teaching the small children on Zoom as well, they just like to sit in their own home and show you a song they've learned. And then you can help by going, hey, have you thought about this strum? Or maybe if you added this, So that was the one thing. There's no award there other than the personal feeling and fulfillment of playing and, you know, but I was looking for something, you know, a little different and tangible because not everybody's a performer, you know.
Do you
I actually,
sorry.
sorry, I actually find one of the things that has been benefited having the Zoom meeting for students is those who don't feel comfortable, even in a small group, showing, have you got this skill yet? I try to link all skills to a particular song. So I find a song that has that skill. Said, right, we're learning this song this next week or three, and then right, everyone turn off your microphones, and I'll play. You play along with me, which is the only way you can do it on Zoom. And at the end, everyone tell me you were perfect. Okay, good, let's go. And people who wouldn't normally actually sing, you can see they're singing at home, having a great time, because they know if they make mistakes, no one cares. Even if the mics are on, I wouldn't care. I say that, but they're more comfortable knowing that their mic is not on, and at the end they come on and go, "Yep, I was perfect. Well done, you." So they're actually getting more out of it than if they were in the room with other people.
Yeah, Dave.
Not, and again, I'm a little different, I think, because I don't do one-on-one lessons or anything. I just do the lead a jam. But as I said, I'm looking to get into that. But one of the things, the lessons, I mean, one of the things I do, not as a reward so much, but it's a communal thing, is I always ask the people who are participating to take a picture of themselves with their instrument, with the screen, whether it's on the TV, whether it's on their laptop, whatever. And I have on my Facebook page, I have an album or a gallery, if you will, where people can go in and see each other playing, and they get, and I encourage it to be a social activity as well. So I encourage a lot of crosstalk, while we're between songs and such. But people get excited about sending their picture in, and oh, I see or you can do a share your ukulele album. What are you playing? Things like that. So not so much as a reward, if you will, but just kind of a fun communal thing to make it more of a social activity, if you will. That's all.
Yeah, and I've been to your Friday night jams, and it just feels very relaxed. You just make
Well,
people feel really at home, but you also instruct. And I love how you go through things here the first time, second time a little bit faster,
mm-hmm.
right? Like you
Well,
did with the Cupid. It was great.
Well, that works, and I do it, and I do it a little differently than some people do. I'm a big believer in using backing tracks. So for everything that I teach, I construct a backing track, because I always find that they're more confident if you have a steady beat and a little bit of harmonic information in back of them supporting what they're doing. So what I do is I have all my tracks in a great piece of software. And I don't know if we have the time to talk about software and things that people are using when they teach, but I have something called Amazing Slowdowner, which I think some of you might know, or I've used it for years as a performing musician, but now as a teacher, I find it immensely invaluable, where you can take the tempo and you can bring it down to even 50%, and you can speed it up to 150%. So when I present a song, I give them, and I always make sure they have the sheets way in advance. I do a Dropbox folder and they can download things. We always do the songs twice, because sometimes people don't know the songs. And the first time I'll cut it down to maybe 80% tempo so people can get more comfortable with it. If they're still working on the chord changes, it's a little bit better, although they should have practiced during the week. But as teachers, we know that that's usually not the case. What's practice? Practice is when you show up to your lesson, right? And then the second time we do it either full speed or just faster, so people can be more comfortable with it. Yeah. But it's all about, never call, even when I was teaching on the ship, I don't normally call out people individually for what might be perceived as errors. I like to talk in generalities. I show them, and they can change it themselves, but I know that has to change in this sort of environment. What I do when I'm teaching 95 people at a time on a ship, it's a different environment. So I know it has to change this way. But I just try to foster as good a time as you can, because especially in these times, and I'm teaching most of the adults or leading most of the adults, is if they're not having fun, they're not doing it. They're just not doing it. So you have to make it fun for them and enjoyable. And I hate to say this, I encourage people to drink while they're doing it. It's an adult thing, but have a beverage with you. You know, whether it's alcohol or non-alcohol, have something. Let everybody know what you're drinking. So just to keep it as
Especially if
casual
you're
as
singing
possible.
margarita, right?
Yeah, there you go. Sister knows. You know, or so you can start, you know, suck them up, bro. You know, whatever, do a toast and all that. But yeah, just to try to keep, and I appreciate the compliment, because that's the one thing that I try to insist is that things are casual, things are fun. Because again, if it's not fun, you might as well not even be doing it, because they're not going to be involved. They're not invested in it if they don't have fun.
Yeah, that's a good reminder, because I think I get quite serious in my teaching. So Dan, you wanted to say something?
There was just speaking of software. Yes, that's a fantastic program for the speed. A lot of songs that you hear on the radio, though, the musicians quite sensibly are using something like a capo to make the chord shapes easy for them, but fitting their voice. But to put a capo on a ukulele is doable, but very quickly you're sounding like you're Alvin and the Chipmunks. There's not a lot of range there. So a program I use is called Virtual DJ, which is a freeware app. You can change the pitch of the original song so that you can then say, here's the MP3 in the key that you're going to be playing it on your ukulele, rather than saying, right, grab a capo, stick it on and sound like you're sucking helium. I change the songs to fit to them. I find that a very useful tool as well.
Sure.
Do you all make use of the speed setting in YouTube? So slow it down, and also playback. I'm just curious, how many of you record your classes so that your students view, and do they actually make use of that? Because it takes a lot of time to download and upload. And I'm just wondering, you know, when we teach face-to-face, we never record our stuff, right? So is it really value added to record? Denise, you want to say something?
I don't record the whole class, but sometimes there's a specific song or a pattern that they want, and I'll just take my iPhone and I'll set it in front and I'll play it and then upload it to my Dropbox where all their lessons are, and it's available. And the students have said they really appreciate that. To play along with me helps them. So it's just, I don't do the whole class, but maybe just specific things that they're working on, or a song or a technique, and that's it, but not the whole class.
That makes sense. Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Actually, I'm not a very IT savvy, you know, I'm very low tech. Fortunately, my husband is helping me. So sometimes when I wanted to record, he will be in the other room. I will allow him to record, then he will record. After recording, download, we edit the video and then send to my students. So a lot of work. This Zoom thing is a lot of effort, a lot of it's a learning experience for me as well as a teacher, you know. I mean, at this right old age, I'm not young, you know, I'm almost close to my 60 years old. I was like, what is Zoom? First time I heard of Zoom, you know. So a lot of learning experience. I think this COVID-19 also taught me a lot of new things. The Zoom here, Zoom there, you know. Now it's a new syllable for me, Zoom. That's what I want to share. Okay, I'm still learning, okay? I'm still learning.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Did anybody else want to say anything about recording, Nanny? Okay.
Oh, not so much about recording, if you don't mind. Just kind of earlier topic you're talking about, and I want to encourage each and yes, this is self-promotion, but this is, maybe you can grab some ideas from what we're doing. Gaithersburg Ook Fest, and I'll put that in the chat. So in the spring, we jumped right on it, had performers come on, ukulele performers from all over the world, and mainly the ones that would have been on in our Ook Fest, live Ook Fest. Give them opportunity to get e-tips, to showcase themselves. We even had them do workshops, and that was awesome. That was successful. you know, if people bought their merchandise, it was on them. You know, it was between them. So we didn't deal with that ourselves. Say, hey, go look up their website. So, and I want to encourage each of you. You know, your performers, your teachers. If you'd like to be showcased in our, you know, maybe not it in the showcase, or if you want to do a workshop, and we have workshops up to wazoo, right? There's and like Denise was saying, there are people that are hungry for the ukulele, so they're gonna come. If they know you, they say, "Oh, let's go to Denise's workshop." Yes, you know, bring it on, bring them to us, and it's on Zoom, and you know, it kind of helps you step up your game as an instructor to utilize, you know, when we attend conferences, right, we get all this stuff, right, all this paperwork, all this info. But when we don't use it, it's a wasted. So the Zoom, you know, it makes us do things and step up our game. I know it's had me step up my game big time as an instructor, for sure. You know, I'm listening better to my students. It's like, whoa, I didn't realize you really had a good voice, or wow, you played that chord really well. And you know, you can highlight that, and you can view it like, you know, you're watching them play it. You know, it's just it's a different way of teaching and doing. So I would encourage you to please consider and email us. And my husband is Keith. Um, and let us and check out our showcase too. And it's like, wow, yes, I know that performer, or see what we do and use it. You know, there's nothing wrong with doing what we're doing. The same if you want to do that wherever you're at. You know, gather your friends to do. You know, just continue to grow the ukulele music world, because we all need it. And let me tell you this: the artists need you as an organizer. Right?
Right. Thank you,
Oh,
Nani.
they're gonna say yes.
Dave, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, and it's apropos of what Nani was talking about, or what she just said, is I'm so heartened by the sense of community in this, and the fact that I don't think I've run into one person who is selfish about sharing, or you know. And I go to all these different things online to learn and to observe, and to the person, everybody says, oh, you know, you're doing something, share your link. They share their music with them, with you. It's very hard. I love it because, you know, coming from the background I do, which is primarily performance, you know, musicians can be some of the most selfish people in the world. You know, they don't want to share anything. And no, it's true. I mean, you're laughing, but I mean, every guitar player thinks that they came up with the licks that they play, which the truth of the matter is, no, they didn't. And, you know, they want to, and I say this to the people that I teach on the ship, is find groups to play with, find people to take lessons with, because ukulele players, to the person, are more generous with their time and with their knowledge than any other instrument I think that I've ever run into. You know, guitar players, if they play something, you know, they're hiding over here and they don't want to share the lick. But ukulele players, oh, here, yeah, check this out. You know, and as far as sharing that, and this is one, and, you know, kudos to you for putting this together, because, you know, in the interest of growing, you know, it's incredible. You know, it's great. You know, I don't know if anybody's been to where I live in Hilo, but we used to have a big music store here and an ukulele store that's no longer in business, that was run by my friend. We used to have this conversation starting like maybe 10 years ago, when it's the boom, if you will. What do they call it? The third wave of ukulele or something like that. And he said, you know, I don't know what it's going to take to bring this into the mainstream so that it's as popular as guitar is. I'll be truthful. I think it's getting there. And it's because of people like all of you who are open to sharing techniques, ideas. You know, it's fantastic. I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Denise.
Yeah, hey, guys, I have to head out. I have a class to teach. I just wanted to say thanks so much. Nice to meet you all. Very, very nice. I'd love to be able to communicate more. So I put my email address in the chat, and I guess there's a list somewhere. I'm on Facebook.
Yeah, I use the Zoom registration, so I've got everybody's email. So if it's okay with everyone, I'll send an email to everyone so we have everybody's email addresses.
That'd be
And
great.
maybe you could help me you know, edit or add stuff to the Google Doc, what we talked about. That's interesting. And I'll share the video with everyone. But what I like to do is to kind of hone in on different things that we're interested in and discuss. I was going to do a breakout room today. I was going to ask about that, but I don't think we have time for a breakout today. Thanks a lot, Denise.
Thanks all. Have a great
Uh-huh.
day or evening wherever you are.
Great.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I also have to leave. It's 5:30.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
really appreciate meeting everybody, and unlimited topics we could come up
There's
with.
so much, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah. Thanks
yes.
very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd be
Yeah.
interested in tech talk.
Yeah, Tech Talk, right.
Yeah, seriously, like what Dave was saying, what software do you use? You know, there's Jamulus. I mean, the list goes on and on.
There's so
OBS
much.
for sure. You know, OBS is user friendly for teachers. Do you use OBS, Dan?
We started with OBS
Started with
for the festival, and that was sort of like the starting software. We then had to link it with another software package to
Okay.
make it all work, because we had me live in the studio, video recordings, and we had other people coming in over the internet as well. So OBS
Okay.
by itself wasn't enough, and we had to I think it was the sixth software package that we trialed. We found seamless, fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
because
And
OBS is
speaking of
free.
what Dave was saying, just an example, I had Jake Shimabukuro, who I think we can agree is up there. He was touring Australia. After his concert that I went to, he stood out in the foyer for 2.5 hours and literally shook the hand of every single person that was in the audience, took photos, signed everything that people brought. I don't know many other musical genres where that sort of level of act would hang around for that amount of time. It was remarkable.
So I've got to go as well, but I'm thinking, should we just share in the Google Doc various different points? I don't plan to resurface in Zoom after this Thursday's 3-Core Thursday until early September, but I could definitely do with, you know, because I sometimes I get really down when I hear the news. I read the news. You know, it's like, how long is this? So this will really help boost, you know, my spirit. And the other thing that gets me down is, you know, having to constantly think of courses, schedule courses, get bookings. You know, typical entrepreneur, right? Like doubts and thinking, oh gosh, you know, maybe I should just give up and do something else, right? But it's like, you know, trying to get students to come back, trying to, you know, find interesting classes, you know, trying to promote and then trying to do this and all that. So, but just right now, just take a look at us. I mean, I think it's so amazing. Here I am. I'm in Europe, England. We've got Nanny in North America, mainland USA. We got Tiki Dave in Hawaii, probably the most isolated landmass in the world, right? And then we have in Canada, Tina. And then we have Kelly in Malaysia, Southeast Asia. And then we have Dan in Australia. We've got the whole globe covered, isn't it? We're just missing South America. What else are we missing? The Indian
Japan.
subcontinent.
Oh, yeah.
It's so international. I have to thank Kevin Carroll for setting up the Ukulele Instructors International Facebook group. Yeah, and I went to his ukulele teacher summit a year ago in July. 15 of us, and it was fantastic. So let's keep doing this. Does anybody want to meet again next week or the week after while I'm on holiday, or are we okay coming back in September? I would love to get your list of what you want to answer, because I have my list, you know. How can I do things better? How can I spend less time creating a feedback form? How can I spend less time, you know, trying to register students? And how can I make it more autopilot rather than constantly reinventing the wheel? So, all right. Well, that's it. No last words. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dave, Dan, Tina, Nanny, and Kelly. Nice meeting you, Kelly.
Nice meeting you too. Nice meeting everyone.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you
you.
so much for sharing. We meet again. Okay, by email.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Okay, I'll put
Have
the
a great
stuff in the
day.
chat in the Google Doc as well. Okay.
Until next time.
I will continue my beauty sleep.
Bye,
All right.
We hope.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.